You're live.
All right, thank you. I want to welcome everybody to our meeting today, all staff and board members. I want to call the meeting today at 11:03. Ms. Dumas, can you take the roll, please? All right, thank you. I want to welcome everybody. Hey. Beverly?
Okay, yes, sir, Chairman Cody. One moment.
Present.
Alderman Leggett,
Present.
Dr. O'Halloran,
Present.
and Director Emerson.
Present.
Thank you. You have a quorum of the committee, Chair.
All right. I want to thank everybody for visiting our governance meeting today. And I want to say we had a very good meeting yesterday with Garden City yesterday afternoon. Me, Ms. Ragland, and I want to thank Brenda Dice. She gave an excellent presentation. With that noted, I want to move on to, do we have any committee presentations from any of our committee members? All right, I'm gonna turn it over to Ms. Ragland on our board consent agenda items. Can we take a vote? We need to take a vote on the agenda.
No, sir.
All right,
Thank you.
Ms. Ragland.
All right, sir. Those on the consent agenda include the COVID-19 emergency measures that Mr. Cooksey will go into more detail with. I believe that Mr. Stearns has been informed that staff needs to request more time for the bus wash award contract, since there have been some new revelations made to him via the director of maintenance. And he will explain that to you at that time. So at this time, I'll ask Mr. Cooksey to come forward with those of the COVID-19 emergency measures.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. This is our COVID measures, our standing agendas since March. And this is basically for operational needs. There's no monetary situation that really arouses around this. So again, this is just strictly operational. And I am requesting that, due to the increase in COVID still throughout the country and so forth, that we continue this measure each month until we find it necessary to not have to take any particular action. So,
Lenny, is the governor still got us in a state of emergency? Has he extended that? I know we had it a month or two ago, but I haven't heard any extension given by the governor.
Right. I actually, Mr. Hall may have something on that, but I have not as well. So I do know, regardless of that particular situation, we still, facing our daily challenges and situations that we might have to make just to make sure we're getting service out. Hence all the different moves we've made and different cleaning and so forth and so on. So,
okay, as long as there's no financial impact, I'm fine with going ahead with that. We got to protect the passengers.
Absolutely. And I think I think it was mentioned last go around, Dr. Halloran, is that, there was a confusion between this particular order and the CEO's particular order. They're two different things. So this is, again, just strictly operational.
Okay, sounds good.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Emerson.
Thank you. Mr. Cooksey, can you just sort of go through the highlights of what this enacts or allows CAT to do, or what it enforces us to do?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. It does give us the ability to make, if we need to make adjustments to the schedules, anything outside of what we're operating now, any type of additional cleaning measures that we may need to take, those type of things also take place. I think part of this, even though it came out of a different measure, was the operator barriers. was also part of this particular, initial issue that came about. So it just gives us a lot of flexibility to make adjustments, schedule adjustments, cleaning adjustments, things of those natures. And then again, we may face something that we haven't seen. And then of course, we'll adjust to that if it impacts operations. And that's all phases. I mean, that's fixed route, paratransit, and the ferry.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Okay, if Mr. Stearns would move forward with the automatic bus wash award.
Actually, Steve Breed looked at the drawings. Apparently some drawings were missing. It was incomplete, but he then said it's actually good to go. The drawings were there.
Okay.
So we would still be moving forward with that.
Okay. So Steve is good with moving forward on the contract award?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I know there was some asking board to approve some late invoices from Bowen Falcon. Mr. Stearns, if you might address that.
I thought that was on the consent agenda, but we are requesting the approval to go ahead and pay the fiscal year 2019 legal fees from Bohan. I think we presented that in the committees, and so I believe that's on the consent agenda.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to remove the Buchan Falcon legal fees from the consent agenda and add them to our regular agenda.
For our meeting on February 23rd.
Yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with that.
And real quick, just to go back to point B, David, do you have, if nobody minds, if it's okay for me to ask David, the price on the car wash?
Yeah, it is
bus wash.
200. Yeah, 240,000. Let me get you the exact figure here.
I know we had discussed that in committee, but probably fine to repeat it in this meeting too.
So the exact price is oh, I see the confusion. Oh no, $240,781. Sorry, go ahead.
Is there any match to that? Is that all from our operating fund, or is that
It's 80% FTA, 20% SPLOST, so it's actually none from our operating. It's going to fall up under the interior redesign grants that we've had.
Got it. Okay.
And somebody at some point had asked about a maintenance agreement. I think Dr. Robinson maybe had asked about that. And I checked with Steve, and he indicated that a maintenance agreement would be a separate purchase that they would basically bid out. So I guess that's kind of how it's standardly done. You get the equipment and then you have somebody who maintains it. So that would be separate, but there is a 1-year warranty. So I think that allows us the time we need to get the maintenance agreement in place.
Thanks, sir.
You're welcome.
If I may,
Yes, Ms. Lewis.
Ms. Radley,
Yes.
staff has requested to remove that item and for the need to release, for board approval to release our RFP. So we may need additional time for that one particular item on the agenda.
The bus wash, Beverly?
The bus wash, yes, sir, David.
Oh, Steve, yeah, it went back and forth, but Steve initially requested that because I guess the drawings were missing like 2 pages, so he thought it was incomplete. But then subsequently found out that they just forgot to include the drawings. And so the $240,000 price included all, I don't know the exact details of what he was looking at, but so then he subsequently said, disregard that request.
Yes, and I just received the update from Mr. Boatwright. He is asking that we remove that item. Thank
Okay.
you. Okay.
Are we back on Buchan Falcon legal fees?
Excuse me? Now,
Are
right
we
now,
back on the Buchan Falcon legal fees?
yes, you said you wanted to place it on next week's agenda.
Yeah, can I also get an explanation of why we're paying services rendered in 2019 on the 2021 budget? And additionally, what is the amount and how are we going to be moving forwards with making sure that we are getting, I guess, timely invoices from Buchan Falcon so we can pay those in the budget in which the services were rendered?
Is that Mr. Stern's question?
I think it would, finance and procurement don't fall under me anymore. So I think it would go to Val.
But presently, that's before that. That's last week. That was you was in charge of that as of last week, right?
As of yesterday,
All right.
but if you're asking for additional information, I would think it would fall to Val.
What are the dates of service on those bills?
Let's see. So it's for fiscal year 2019. So actually it encompassed all of 2019. It said partial initially because he hadn't gotten all, Ty hadn't gotten all his fees there. But
Calendar 2019 or fiscal 2019?
Just our fiscal year 2019.
So that ended what, last June?
July, no. So it would be July 1st, 2018 to June 30th, 2019 would be our fiscal year 2019.
So that was already included in that budget under legal fees?
I would have to pull that older.
Yeah, there were, well, there had to be. We
Yeah,
had
I
them
mean,
as a
there
vendor.
usually, yeah, there usually is a line item. I just, you know, that I would have to find that budget.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, any more questions concerning the Buchan Falcon legal fees?
Yeah, I'm just, what's the plan for where are 2020's legal fees? Have we paid those? What's the amount of the 2019 fees, which are from July 2018 to, or I guess, yeah, July 2018 through July 2019? And again, what is the plan for making sure that we are paying for the services that we are receiving in the year that we're receiving them for? I don't think it really makes a lot of sense for us to be paying for services back almost like 2 years ago in today's budget. That's just going to make it difficult for us to, I just
It
think
wouldn't be in today's budget. It was budgeted for that budget year with legal fees, and it would be deducted from that account.
Is that correct?
Yeah, you can ask Gloria. She's on.
Gloria, can I get some confirmation on that? Maybe just like, how does that work? Was the budget from 2018 sort of kept and I guess leapfrogged over the last couple of years until we can pay it off today? Where does that money come from?
Well, not necessarily leapfrogged over. However, from year to year, there is a budget for legal fees. And just a little backstory on this particular service. Yes, these invoices were remitted a little later than normal. And with the attorney fees, we also received an email stating that due to COVID was one of the reasons that we did get 2019 late, because normally we would have gotten the first of 2020. And then the end of calendar year 2020, there had been communications with the senior accountant and the attorney firm to make sure that we get all of the documentation regarding that. And there were some issues with the attorney being unavailable to be into the office and get all of the necessary data to provide the invoices. So we are a little behind, well, 2 years behind, as you can see, for paying the fees. There's also been conversation with the firm and the attorney regarding having monthly billings going forward so that we can record the expenses in the proper period, because that is important to us.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
may I make a comment? I
Yes.
know that Mr. Butler, who's been the lead attorney for Bowen Falligan, has been out of the office due to sheltering in place. His team is working towards providing those invoices on a more frequent basis, hopefully a monthly, but at least quarterly basis from here going forward.
All right. Thank
We
you.
can ask Andrew, he's here, he's from Buchanan and Falligan.
Yeah, hi. I've had discussions with staff over the last really several days, asking staff what its preference is. As far as I'm concerned, from now or from a few weeks ago when I started working on CAT matters, moving forward, whenever y'all want an invoice, I'll send an invoice. So if that's monthly, you'll get an invoice at the end of February. If it's quarterly, I'll send it quarterly, whatever your preference is.
Thank you.
I got, Mr. Chair, I got a question.
Yes.
What does our contract say? What does it say in whatever sort of agreement that we have with Buchanan Falligan? Do we get these yearly? Do we get these monthly?
Don't have a contract. They were appointed by the Board of Commissioners in 2002, according to the CAT Act. There has
What?
never been a contract. They were appointed by the Board of Commissioners when they ran CAT.
By the county commission?
Yes, sir.
Do we have, then it might be a good idea for us to look into how that agreement was formed. If we don't have a contract, that seems complex.
Well, you can go back and get the minutes from that meeting, but CAT may not have them because the county ran us. So you'd have to get those from the county.
And you say that was in the CAT Act?
Yep.
It
I sent a
doesn't
copy to
say-
everybody in the CAT Act under the, what was the section of the CAT Act that it was included under? Powers of the Authority, Chapter 3, Local and Special Acts and Resolution, Georgia Law, 1986 session. Item 6, the powers of the authority to appoint, select, and employ officers, agents, and employees, including engineering, architectural, and construction experts, fiscal agents, and attorneys, to
Well,
fix
that's-
or provide for their respective compensation. That's Georgia law.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I think the statement, which was correct in the CAT Act, is important to to say, but I don't believe that it necessarily qualifies Buchanan Falligan as an attorney. The name is not mentioned in the CAT Act. It simply says that we do have the right and the authority to hire mechanics, engineers, and attorneys, but it doesn't say or qualify as to who those are. I think if we could figure out what, as Chairman O'Halloran said, happened in 2002, I believe, with the county commission, we might be able to find some information as to how the original structuring of the agreement between Buchanan Falligan and
Not a
CAT was laid
problem.
out.
We will get that.
Let's
Yes.
look into that.
Yeah, but experience of 18 years would kind of prove that, yes, that's been true since 2002, because they've been being paid since then.
I'd like to see moving forwards a contract with whatever legal firm we're working with. It would make sense to me that we could possibly save money for taxpayers by being able to have a contract so we can understand what we're paying, when we're paying for it, and also very likely get FTA reimbursements for the legal fees when they're attached to FTA projects. Right now, running without a contract for something as important as legal fees and legal expenses and legal advice right now doesn't seem wise.
It's amazing that for 18 years, everything was fine with the FTA. Never had a problem before because we don't pay out of
We don't
FTA
pay.
funds.
Yes.
And we don't have a contract with any attorney technically other than Buhan being appointed by the county commission.
I don't believe that that's correct or really has any say in
I
who our
made a
attorney is
motion and we
today.
voted on it in November. Have we rescinded that motion that Buhan and Falagant's our attorney?
No, we haven't.
Then they're our attorney until we rescind my motion that I made and we voted on in November. And anybody who's using someone that we have no contract with is violating the CAT laws.
Mr. Chair, as I remember that, given our policy on procurement, which we as a board voted on earlier in 2020, any protest would be adjudicated by the then CEO, and that adjudication would be final. I believe that Bakar Malden made the agreement.
That was submitted 2 days late to the FTA, which invalidates it.
I believe
Plus
that
the fact that we don't have to do that, and we have the right to reject the determination of the committee within CAT. The board has the right to reject their evaluation and give the contract to a different person. That's in our procurement policy. It has always been the rule.
I believe it's time to move forward. We can address all of this on our next board meeting. Today, we're going to try to stick to the agenda. Do we have any more questions?
if we do try to stick to the agenda, I also would love to request that we stick with some sort of procedure, some sort of parliamentary procedure, and not try to interrupt each other.
You do it all the time, Clinton, so either follow the rule or don't. You have to be recognized by the chair, and you weren't, you just spoke, so it's all or nothing on that.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Director Emerson.
Moving forward, I would encourage you to help all of us do a better job with parliamentary procedure so we can engage in business and try to help this out.
This is your opinion?
Point of order, can we move on with the agenda?
Let's go to committee updates. Do we have anything, Dr. Halloran?
Sorry, I couldn't get my unmute. My finger thing keeps moving. I made a request to the different committees not different committees, different departments to come up with some ideas of what they think we can do to help improve our system and cut down some of our costs. Right now, we have really no budget process in place, so I don't know where we're going with the 2021 budget. I know there's been some internal discussions about it, but I have not seen a budget. I don't know how I can prepare a whole lot for this year until we have an idea where we're going to be. If we assume that there's no increase in the millage rate, we're going to be about 10% short on our budget for this year, as it has been in the past. So I don't know where any projects can be added. I think we're going to have to be cutting first. But the objective is to get rid of the use of the 5307 funds, that 3.7 million a year that we are spending for operations, which is meant to be for things like paving the parking lot, which is in desperate need of being done. We also lose all of our matching SPLOST money on that 3.7 million, which is another 740,000. So somewhere along the line, revenues have to go up or expenses have to go down so we can take ourselves off that money from the FTA. And I don't know who's in charge of our budget right now. I know Valerie's trying to work on it, but we don't have a CFO, and we really don't have anybody who fully understands our budget process. Unfortunately, the woman who was working on it left. So that would be my question. I really, you can't strategic plan without an idea where the budget's going. We were supposed to do an amended budget. We didn't do that, so we don't know where we have no idea where we are. We're behind, or we're ahead of the budget we put in place in June. But that budget didn't really cover COVID, where all of our revenues came way down, and our expenses also came down, but not in the same proportion that the revenues did. So I don't know where we're going to be. We would still have to wait for CARES money to come in. There's so many questions that I'm going to work on a strategic plan, but I don't know if it's going to be starting in July of 2021. I see Val's hand up.
Yes, sir,
Right.
Dr. Halloran. I just wanted to assure you that staff is working toward the budgetary needs for CAT. I actually met with Ms. Ambrose and Ms. Gloria this morning at 8:30 to discuss those very matters. And I hope to have an update for you next week. And additionally, I have spoken with the executive team about the strategic goals for the next fiscal year and have given them the pie in the sky talk, if you will. We realize that all of these goals won't be met. We don't know what our budget is at this point, but I have asked them to include everything, as you said, for the next short-term budgeting period, which could be up to 5 years, and then as well as 10 to 20 years.
Okay, make sure I get invited to those, because I'd like to know where you're going, so I can, I have some really expensive plans, and primarily the parking lot needs to be repaved. It's a disaster out there.
Yes, sir.
But I'd like to come to those meetings so I can plan on and see what you guys are talking about, so I can put it in my reports.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Halloran. Do we have any committee updates from Director Leggett?
I thank you, Mr. Chairman. We didn't have a lot of our committee. We met earlier this week, and we spoke on a couple of things. And the same as Dr. Halloran, we're still trying to figure out where we're going to go and where is this our funding is going to come from. So at this moment, I don't have too much. We just working through some things, and I can give you an update soon. But I can tell you that we are working forward. And I got an update from staff also about the bus wash and the repair to the bus wash that's on site. So we're just trying to work through a lot right now and try to make sure that we push the needle forward and make sure that our funding is going to be there when we ask for it.
All right. Thank you, Director Leggett. Do we have anything committee updates, Director Emerson?
First, I'd like to the meetings that Ms. Ragland is talking about with the strategic stuff. I'd be very keen on joining those as well. Special place in my heart for strategy, especially at CAT. And I think that could be helpful for some of the work we're doing on the outreach committee as well. I'm exploring the idea of forming a community oversight committee. I'm looking in bylaws right now to see sort of what lateral, what I'm able to do as chair. And that might just be a citizen committee, not necessarily even really underneath CAT. But just to try to make sure that we've got that people are clearly energized by transit right now. And I think there's definitely a moment that we've got to be able to capture some of that energy and keep these folks, committed in the long run to helping our transit agency stay on track and figure out, what our goals should be moving forwards. Other than that, we had a good meeting, and I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you, Director Emerson.
Thank you.
Do we have any questions? Do we have?
I've got a question, Mr. Chair. I'm not sure if now is the right time. And this one is for Ms. Ragland, but in an email yesterday, I got a memo about changes to senior staff. And I'm just wondering sort of what's the genesis for those changes. I'm just looking for an explanation as to why things are moving around in the senior staff level right now.
We're not here to discuss any of those issues today. If we have any questions, we can put it on the agenda for next week.
Okay,
That.
Let's do that.
All right. Do we have any unfinished business? Thank you. All right, our next meeting gonna be on February 23rd for our regular board meeting next week. Thank everybody.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, ma'am.
If I may?
Yes.
I'd just like to address the situation with the committee format to the members of this governance committee.
Yes.
In the past, the committees were formed to address specific needs of the organization. As they stand now, the format of the committee is really redundant, if you will. I would like to propose and suggest that committee meetings are in the future defined by those subject titles specific to them, and then the governance committee would allow each committee member or each committee chair to bring all of those updates to the governance committee. It's just something I would bring out to suggest to the members of the governance committee to consider.
All right, Dr. O'Halloran.
Yeah, I think and I was chairman at the time when we formed these new committees. And we really have never done what was suggested and the resolution we passed for Doug Eady's program to bring the 3 new committees in. The intention of the committees, which we never really got to, is that the board members were just supposed to do the research on different items and then bring it to governance to be approved and added to the agenda. We kind of got away from that with, 90% of the meetings are tied up discussing the consent agenda. The governance committee kind of sets the agenda. That's the basic function of the governance.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we were ever going to get to the ideal plan that Doug Eady had in mind. We're really back to the old system of committees, but I don't know how we can change that. I don't see the board members doing these presentations to the board. It just doesn't seem to fit in with the way we've always worked as a board. It would, we have a changing board. It changes all the time. And I don't see any energy to go ahead and go with us making the presentations rather than staff. And that's what it was intended to be. And I just don't think we're ever going to get there. I mean, I'm fine with the committee setup with 3 committees, but we really do need to start getting to the work that we were given to do. And if we only meet twice and that's all the information we put together, then so be it. I mean, it's not necessarily a meet every month strategic planning. Once we come up with a plan and present it for the budget, after July 1st, what's our meeting about? We're going to do a 5, 10 and beyond strategic plan. So once or twice a year, we can go and review that and make changes. I mean, is it a monthly obligation for all these committees? I don't know. I mean, I think almost everybody should have the materials from Doug Eady. But I mean, we're really not doing it. And on that point, we have to change the resolution that we passed in February of last year because Clinton's now chairman of a different committee than the resolution said.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you for that information.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, Valerie, did you get that information that I'm assuming Beverly still has the Doug Eady pamphlet. It's about this big.
I have not seen it, but I will review it. I will
And
review
we may
that.
need to send it out so the board members get refreshed. That was over a year ago that we had Doug Eady in. Actually, it was 2 years ago
Yes,
because
sir.
Howard was chairman when Doug first came in and we did 2 separate sessions. So I don't know. We can always change that. We're not bound to it.
Yes,
It
sir.
was a suggestion from him as to how to set up committees. But, you know, everything's subject to change at some point. So that
Right.
we'll have to look into.
It's just food for thought.
Yeah. Thanks. Oop,
Yes, sir.
why can't I unmute?
Hmm.
Come on.
Do we have any more questions before we move on? So we got our next meeting, February 23rd is our next regular board meeting. This time I'd like to adjourn this meeting. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.